So I was kind of right about the fuse box and filter being the thing that was hanging it up. There was also the ground wire from my relay for the hot when the ignition's on that needed to be moved above the radio. I think it's far enough in now, and I'm working on making the connections to the gauge cluster. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but everything is tight in here at this point. It's tight to begin with a Corvette, and when you add stuff, so I should have read this before there's lights here for warning indicators. On the top is pink with light blue, and then right below it is light blue and white. So let's see if we can find those. I'm going to try to pull these out from the tangle as much as I can, because I don't know how much these have gotten moved around, and they're probably more tangled than they were when I took them out, because much has happened. Okay, so there's pink with light blue, and light blue and white. Light blue and white. There's light blue and white with a blue stripe. And then there's on this side a pink with a dark green, so that's not even close to light blue and white. And I don't see any other colors that are close to that even. So we'll go with the light blue and white first, since that's on the bottom, and I'd be working between the top wire and a portion of the cluster that juts out. So pink and dark light blue go up on the top. And now there's a 3-prong connector that feeds one of the gauges. I'll see if I can see the water temperature. And there's a 3-prong connector. That's the only 3-prong connector there, so that's got to be in this wiring harness. It's got to be this one. See if I can untangle some more. I've pretty much got that untangled except for one of the gray wires, which is for lighting. There we go. Now, which way does that go? That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't think they marked those wires. And they could have done me a favor by putting the ground on one of the ends. That would have made it simple to figure it out. But I think the ground is just for the gauge, and what happens with this gauge is you feed power on one end and you feed it out on the other end, and the other end goes to the temperature sensor in the block, and that grounds it out. So I really don't think it makes a difference. And I'm going to go with how the wire seems to be bent from being in there for 40 some years and go with that. So I just got to get that pushed on now. That's on. It's doesn't want to come off, but I don't feel like it's all the way on. Last thing I want to do is close this all up. Find out one of those gauges doesn't work because I didn't put a connector on the right way. I'm not giving up on this until I'm satisfied with it. But try and take it off and re-examine it. Make sure I've got it on right. Wow, that's a tight connection. Let me see if I can just look at it and determine that it's making good contact. Yeah, it's what I think it is on all the way. I'm looking at these other connectors, and all the other connectors are narrower at the top than they are at the base. And I can't see any narrow spot here. So I think that's good. Now, I need to find me gray, gray, gray. Starting with the longest gray wire there, probably second longest, third longest. Should find a better place to hang this light. One where it's not going to come crashing down. It won't crash down from there, I don't think. Okay, so let's pick out some gray wires. See if we can get them all out. determine which ones we want to use. That's a short one, we don't want that one. Two are pretty short. There'll be one longer one in here yet. That's probably the longest one. Longest one. Here's one. These are the second and third longest, and they're both plenty long to hit either of these two holes, here or here. Okay, let's see what else we have. We have two more gray wires, and those are not, well, I think maybe this one. That's pink and dark green. Okay. Okay, so that one was probably good. Took that for nothing. So let's find out which of these clips work. So I was wondering why I didn't see a ground wire separate. As it turns out, it looks like the ground wire on this one right here contacts both that gauge and the frame of this. So that's what completes the circuits for all these gray lights. Okay, let's see how these fit. Okay, first I didn't think this one actually fit this gauge, but apparently that's it. Could be upside down. Gotta go that way. That's tough to get on there, but that's the one. Because all of these gauges are they only go one way. They've all got different spreads on the plugs. Do that. I might need to go look at a wiring diagram. Make sure I've got the right things wired in the right places. That one goes on there. I was trying to put the wrong one on. That one goes on there easily. And as soon as I get myself a little bit of length for this wire, maybe get it untangled from some of the others. I'm certain it's going to go on this top gauge, which I don't really know what it is. So they do have these arranged so that you can't put them on the wrong one, although a couple of them do have the same width. The design of the connection is such that you can't get it on. Okay, there's one more that goes to the clock. That's an orange wire. It's a single wire, always powered, because you want the clock to run while you're got the car parked. Okay, so now I have, this is calling for a pink and dark green, or looks black to me. There are no other combinations that it could be, because you got blue and pink. If that's dark green, I'm colorblind. But that's the only plug that's left. Looks like black to me, but what do I know? only two other connections that are left are two gray wires with light bulbs attached to them, and they are clearly marked with places where they go. So, all the connections on the gauge cluster are made. Now I got to try to figure out how to get this up in place and held in while I connect this stuff for the air conditioning. So that might be a challenge. Awkward sitting position here, trying to get the radio stabbed in through the holes that belong to it. Places to put screws up here, but I'm not sure that they don't belong to the vent piece that goes in there. I'm going to shut the camera off while I figure that out. Oh man, my aching back. Anyways, I'll shut the camera off, figure out whether those are necessary for the gauge cluster or the air conditioning vents on the top. Hopefully they hold the gauge cluster up and have it independent of the panel for the air conditioning vent and the windshield wiper switch. I'll check that out. So that there were two screw holes there that I thought anyways. Turns out the one furthest to the right is actually going to hold on the dash panel, and the one in the center in fact does hold up the air conditioning vents and the panel that has the air conditioning vents and the windshield wiper switch. So this is difficult at best. Get yourself positioned in here. So these have to come through this big hole here. I'm going to try to use that one that holds up the air conditioning vent. I'm going to try to use that to hold this up while I put the other screws in place. Problem I'm having here is I want to lean on one elbow while I position stuff with the other hand. That restricts my movement. There's the vents and now I gotta find my screw and my screwdriver. About that falling down. Okay. Now, This would be easier if I had the console in the car because I could lean on that more comfortably. Missing a little pad for the radio. That should hang there. I'll get the rest of this lined up. Have to get a pick or something to get down in there and pull that thing out because I lost it down there. See it from here. Okay. I'm gonna shut the radio or the camera off if I don't get this in a second. No, it's shot somewhere and I can't even see it. I'm gonna shut the camera off, fish that out. It was just a little pad that goes on the radio knob that I had dropped before and didn't bother to retrieve because I didn't need it right then. So that's now on the knob. That's going to be tough to wiggle in there. Okay. So the radio's got to be kicked back into place, kind of. I'm still about 3/4 of an inch away from getting the screw in the side. That helped a little bit. Okay, that doesn't pop out on me. It's putting pressure on it, so I'm not confident that it's not going to pop out on me. I'm going to tighten up this one on the top. If I can get the screwdriver in it. Such an awkward position. Keep in mind that one's going to have to come back out because these go on them. Good Lord. This, I'll never forgive, I dropped my screw. Never forgive Vintage Air for not making molded ducts that actually fit into the car. This is an absolute ridiculous situation here. Those are, the one at least is pretty much stuck in there. You know what, I think I'm going to put the, connect the radio knobs, because that will line that up with where it has to be. It's a 1/2-inch socket on the retainer nuts. see if I can get this other one started, and that will help me out too. It's all a very tight fit there. And now after I get this up, I get the pleasure of trying to fit those tubes over stuff it doesn't fit over. Okay, that's in. Let's try and get the other radio knob on. And I'm putting these radio knobs on different than I had them when they came off. And I don't know. The nuts that retain them were on the other side of these black plastic things. And because the radio, like everything else, didn't give you any directions on how to install it, I did it the way I thought then. Now I'm not so sure whether that was the right way or the wrong way, or it sure is a tight fit though. Well, you get the idea of what I'm struggling with here. So once again, I think I'm going to save your time and shut the video off until I get that started and I have something actually productive to show you. But the last thing is, it turned out when I shut the camera off and approached it from this angle, it became pretty easy. So maybe that'll be the case. It was a little bit easier doing it from this side. I was able to stick one finger behind the radio, push it forward, put my palm on the face of the gauge cluster near the bottom, push in on it. That exposed enough threads for me to get the nut on it. So now comes the part that I've been looking forward to. That is getting these vents on this. And I suspect, based on how all these other vents have gone on these attachments, that this is going to end up being something where I go, well, I'm going to shut the camera off and let you know when I got it fit on. The first problem is part of the flimsy material on the vent hose is ripping where the spring is. So I'm going to cut that off. I'll just show you me struggling with this for a tiny bit, and then I know this is not going to be fun. I've been dreading this for days. There's no room to work. And no way to get comfortable in here. I'd love for this to call me a liar and go on easy, but I don't think that's going to happen. Take off my glasses, my safety glasses, because they're steaming up so bad. Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to try. That is to get one end of it on and grab the other end, maybe with a pair of pliers or a pick or something, and pull it on over. But I'm not gonna waste the time for me to video this or for you to watch it, because it promises to be a struggle. Okay, got one of the hoses on. I've got 12 minutes left on this battery according to the camera. I'm going to try to do the other within that 12 minutes. That may or may not be possible, I'm not sure. But what I did is something I haven't tried before, and that's use a tool, namely long reach needle nose pliers. And I got two of the tabs on the side where you can't see, actually three I guess, over the edges of the tabs with my fingers. And that isn't easy to do in itself. Because you put one end on and try to put the other on and it slips off. So what I basically did is, instead of trying to grab this with my fingers, I got these curved nose, long reach needle nose pliers and pulled it on till I got it over those tabs. That's just not staying there. I don't know. Guess I don't have it on the tab underneath. And you can't see it, can't really even feel it. But if I can get three on, then grab it with the pliers. That's what worked on the other one. I found a fleece jacket that I put down to lay on to make it more comfortable. This is not easy stuff. Maybe if I can get that over. Thought I was close to having it. Get it over this last tab. Maybe that's it. Appears to be it. Okay, a couple things to do here now. Got to get the light switch or windshield wiper switch wiring up here. This will only go on one way because they put a tab on the other. So that's in. See if I can get the light bulb in. Light bulb's in. Now, I need to try to shove this all back there. Get that screw out and then back in. Hopefully the whole thing doesn't come down on me. So all in all, I guess those two tabs weren't as hard because I used those pliers and it gave me a better grip on them. I still don't think they're easy. And if you watched one of my previous videos, I told you about the 77 and a little woman putting them on. She didn't even use a tool. So the 77 is different. In what I would call a significant way. There's one thing more that I've got to do here that once I get this up, just try to fish this controller wire back through, and I forgot to see whether I could get it over the top of the evaporator unit. So I may by default just put it back up the way it was. We'll see. I still got to fish it through this hole and then find it in the back, which might be easier said than done right now because I've got this in place. But it does come through the bottom, so maybe I can reach something under those vents and grab it. Or actually, maybe above the vents would be easier. Yeah, those vents are those tubes are pretty well crushed in there. So, let's see what we can do with this. Should have fished that through there before I put it up. I'm gonna try to do the best I can without taking it down, because I've had enough fun with that for a day. Well, I can see the end of it if I can just get something in there to grab it. Trying to get it turned to a position that it might be easier to grab. Only problem is the flashlight's not helping a whole lot. Let's see if we can go this way and see it. Not much chance of seeing it with all those vents back there. They are seriously in the way. No, I don't even have it in. There's no hope of seeing it there. Actually, if I can see that anywhere, this cord is long enough I can route it any way I want. There's no question about that. Well, I can't even get the light up there. I have to hold the light while I'm trying to lean on my elbow. I have an idea. Let me shut the video off while I pursue that idea. So I decided that in the grand scheme of things, putting that up there was only about a 7. And the risk of what I was thinking about doing, which was trying to pull that connector through by inserting something over here and catching it there was really not the safest way for the connector itself. So I'm going to take this down. Hopefully it'll go back up as easily as it went up the first time. I am going to have to take this completely off to get that threaded through there. So hopefully I'm not making a mistake here. Try to have this so that it won't tangle up behind there. Yeah, those wires are so thin that I thought the risk of trying to pull that through without it taped and secured very well was not worth it. If I can get this all the way across the top here. Behind it. I don't know how far I need to pull it to go into the engine compartment, but I feel that I can put this back up and pull it back the other way by feeding wire from the right to the left and pulling down on the thing. I think that will work. So since I've already got it threaded, I've got this screw started here, I do think that that was the way to go. Only thing it cost me was a few minutes of thinking about it and evaluating the situation. In the long run, I think we did the right thing. So there's a couple more. What the heck? There's a couple more tell me these vents got turned around while I was playing with it. No. They're not in there very well. Never were. Okay. That one needs to be positioned again. Okay, there's a couple more screws that need to go up here, but I'm gonna. I guess I'll get them and put them in if I can figure out which ones they are. Those look to be machine screws. The other screws appear to be self-tapping. Well, I don't see I only see one machine screw. I don't know if it's the right one. That's not the right thread. Maybe they are self-tapping, but yikes. But I didn't see any that looked like they were the right screw for that. I had them all in a bag, but I don't know if they're the right ones. I'm going to have to look around for more screws because I don't feel that those are the right ones. At any rate, those can go in later. It's hanging up there by itself now on this screw. And I've got my wire behind there. So I am going to tape this up to that cord that I pulled it back from the engine compartment, and make sure it's routed so it's not interfering with a bunch of stuff. And we'll pull it back up the other into the engine compartment. I'm not going to video the taping. Showed you earlier how I do it to make sure that it doesn't get pulled out halfway through. So right now I'm going to shut off the video and take that up. Okay, I got my cord taped up to the wire that I'm trying to pull through. There we have it. All that's left is to undo that and check out on the inside, make sure it didn't get tangled anywhere that I didn't want it to be, which I don't think it did because I had it set up for success. So we're back to where we were 3 hours ago with that cord. Of course, we did get the center ducts and the gauge cluster connected, so we're ahead of the game.